Okay.
Okay, it's brother EB, success after lockdown without the brother Anthony Cologne, who's under the weather. Get well, my brother. Today we have a guest that we've been looking forward to talking with, speaking with, and building with. You know, straight out of Texas, Miss Tangie, Coach T. Bryant.
Woo woo.
Just
What's
want to
going
you
on,
to
man?
welcome you to
Blessing to
Success
be
After
here.
Lockdown. We
Appreciate you.
appreciate
Thank you for having me.
we appreciate you for all that we read on you thus far. You know, we want to get in your business, so we want to see,
Let's do
Coach
it.
T, the real Coach T, and see
Let's do
how
it.
things were for you growing up,
Coach
and
T for the win.
growing up out there. So if you could kindly just share with us, who's Coach T, where you grew up at, two parent family home, one. How was life like for you growing up?
All right, man. So out of Houston, Texas, H Town. And life for
Big up to
me,
Houston.
absolutely, absolutely. Life for me, I like to describe it as straddling the fence. I grew up in a single parent household with my mother struggling with crack addiction, but on the weekends I would go with my grandmother, who was a registered nurse and valued education, and we lived a middle class lifestyle. So I was exposed to having my lights off and not having food, to eating out at the fancy restaurants, and seeing the American Express card for the first time in my life. So, um, having access to both of those lifestyles, I would have to say exposure was a big key. So for me, I didn't go buy all the way into the street because I did have that exposure of education and what it could do for you. And I saw the struggles of my mother. So
Nice, nice. Yeah. So as you growing up, did you, what led you to the streets, if you could,
okay. Well, it wasn't really like leading to the streets, but I mean, dealing with my mom, living with my mom, and her struggling with her crack addiction. You get exposed to the drug dealers, and they see you. Some of them trying to take you under their wing. What I'm saying, me being a young lady at the time, some of them trying to maybe push up on me. What I'm saying, in an appropriate way. So having to gather that level of street smarts to protect myself, but also understanding that, like, the fruits of this life doesn't really add up to what the visions and the dreams that I have for myself.
Nice. No question. No question. So you actually born in Houston, raised
Well, okay, you want
everything.
to get technical. My mom and dad met in the military, so there's a town like right outside of Austin, Texas, called Killeen, which is like a army town. So I was born in Fort Hood, but after that, my mom got out of the military, and then I was moved Houston. That's where my
Okay,
grandmother
okay.
was. So yeah, my birth certificate say Killeen, but all I know is Houston. So
Yeah, you're a historian, no question. No doubt about it.
absolutely.
No doubt about it. So so was there ever a time where you came in contact with the criminal justice system? And how was that for you?
Absolutely, man. I have to say, before I had my own personal experience, watching my mom and having her interactions with her drug addictions, and even having family altercations where they would call the police and she would be arrested. And there were stints in time where she was in prison, and I lived with my grandmother. So that was like the first case. And then the associates that she had around, her friends. She had a good friend during that time. He's doing 30 years for murder. Then she had another friend. He was in and out of jail. So I was not oblivious to the fact that in our community, people are going in and out of jail for different reasons. So
Mm,
when my first experience came, when I was exposed, I've been on probation twice in my life. And people look at that and kind of question me, even from being on the show or whatever. It's like, oh, you never did prison time. Well, I only say that because I straddled the fence, y'all forgot I had my grandmother, so I wasn't all the way in. So the first
Yeah.
time I caught probation, I was working at Best Buy, did a like little credit card scam, just trying to come up on like some PlayStation things, just trying to have some things because I wasn't used to it with my, the upbringing that my mother had as a struggle. That didn't work well. It didn't pan out too well. I mean, I did the scam, got the credit, got the gift cards, but that night I called my grandmother and confessed. It didn't even sit right on my heart. And the next day,
Right. No question.
myself in, and I got my penalties for that, and so I was like, I'm gonna move forward. But
No
then
question.
years later, I got caught up in another case, a situation trying to protect my sister. You know what I'm saying? Getting into other people's business, trying to protect her from her baby daddy. But, it's like when we get in these situations, it's kind of lack of something, and that point, I lacked boundaries. You know what I'm saying? I lacked conflict management. So all I knew was how to handle it, how the streets handle it. So I wanted to
Yes, sir.
approach dude, give my boys, handle up and face major consequences. Got a aggravated robbery with the deadly weapon, and that flipped my whole world upside down, man.
Yeah, no question. Listen, and I think I always tell this to a lot of people that I speak with and that I meet on Success After Lockdown. I meet a lot of brothers and sisters that we all have that common thread. I also grew up one parent home. My father stayed in prison. I knew him, but I didn't know him. He never was, he never lived with us. I lived with my moms and my grandmother. My mom's was on drugs, heavy on drugs. She tried to do the best that she could with uh uh with four of us. You know what I mean? But I say four, but with five of us, with myself. I have two brothers and two sisters, and myself. And we all lived with her, with my mom's, since birth, and my grandmother. So my grandmother was like the backbone, and she used to
Right.
always tell me, she used to do the same. Like, I'll go out there and she'd be like, boy, you know what I mean? Stay away from them streets, because they gonna get you with your father. You see, you know what I mean? You don't know your father because he's in prison for a long time, and the same thing. I also got probation twice. You know what I
Yep.
mean? When I first
Yep.
I came out the streets at 12 years old, and so this was in like 82, 1982. And the first time I seen jail, it was Rikers Island,
Hmm.
and that's in New York City. And then I was on probation. I came home. I got on probation again because I got locked up again, but I used a different name. And we used to fix our fingerprints. We used to bite our skin off. It was crazy when we was young what we used to do to try to get out of this trouble. And then that caught up with me. I wound up going to prison doing the 1 to 3, and came home and still didn't learn. And then I got my lights put out by receiving 25 years to life. That's where I went through my transition. So if you could talk about a little bit about, that last time you go into prison and how that experience was for you. If there was anything that gave you that aha moment, when was that for you? That, listen, man, I can't keep doing this. I gotta go another route.
Oh no, absolutely. So that second time, I got probation. They came and arrested me at my job, man. I had a career job. I have a degree in
Mm,
chemistry. I was working at the chemical plants. I
nice.
was quality analyst. I was three promotions in,
Mm,
stacking up OT, making that bread, doing my thing. And
mm.
they came and pulled me out of one of my trainings, said somebody wanted to see me. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing my thing at work. Who want to see me? They took me down to the loading dock, and it was the detective that I had talked to from the case that involved my sister and, what I'm saying, her baby daddy. And just that ride, that ride to the county. Even before that, I was like with the detective. I was like, when you called me, I came and spoke to you forthcoming about the situation. You didn't have to come to my job and embarrass me like that, even with that. So that whole moment, that whole situation, it was like, man, this is a serious offense. And I have a degree, and it's like, how am I gonna bounce back from this? Like, I feel bad. Like, I feel like I let my grandmother down. Like, I let
Mm.
myself down. It's like, what now? Like, how can I figure this out? So after going through, the process of that and getting probation out of that, just because I straddled the fence, I had a little bit of good that outweighed the bad. So thankfully the judge was willing to give me that opportunity. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, whether you get probation or jail time, they still see you the same. Like it
Absolutely.
ain't the same, it still see you the
That's
same. So
right.
I same struggles of putting my life back together. I couldn't go back to the plants and work. With the degree in chemistry, my first job back, just to feel like I'm taking care of myself was a Goodwill Donation Center. And I was thankful for that because I was able to get back in the workforce and I wasn't going to act like I knew more or was better than just because I had some education behind me because I still messed up. I still made bad decisions. I was a poor decision maker. I lacked some character that put me in that position. So I couldn't act like I was better than just because I had a little bit of education. So at that point, I was just like thinking about what the visions that I had for my life and the decisions that I was making and the direction that I was going. And I was like, this is not it. Something has to change. So I had to check myself and reflect and just realize and ask myself, like, how did you get here? And then that's when I realized, hey man, you make poor decisions, poor decisions. You're an extreme risk taker. You don't think about the end goal. What is the end goal, the true end goal that you want? Like you got to put that in motion, and every decision needs to line up so that you can achieve that. Anything
Mhm.
off that path, you got to throw that away.
That's right. It's crazy how, and I always have to look at this because it doesn't matter where I'm at, like who I speak with, anyone that I have on here, and that's having this discussion with me and my partner. There's always these similarities, and it's like we intertwine so much. So your journey, when you said that you were successful with your education and things, even before going to prison, like we still meet up because I was one that, I had a ninth grade, 10th grade education. I went to the 10th grade for 2 days and that was it. I left school. I always knew I was smart because anytime I was in school, I bust out everything, all the tests, everything, you know what I mean? So, but when I did receive that 25 years of life, for me, it was that aha moment was like really right away because I said I'm going to get in school right now. Like that's we're not gonna have that. I don't even have a GED. So I went my my first year up north. I received my GED. And then I since went on and I began to take that what you call what I see you call I call it that self introspection of ourselves.
Mhm.
I had to close that gate. After 2-3 years up north, I was tired. I'm like, nah, man, it's got to be a different way. It's got to be a new way. So I closed that door and I began to work on myself and my growth and development. And I came home with my associates, my bachelor's, and my master's degree. So I didn't let thank you. I didn't allow the time to do me
Come on now.
because I said enough is enough,
Yep.
and a lot of brothers that I grew up with in there, a lot of them said enough is enough as well. It's just there's levels to this. So,
Yep.
we have some brothers that waited 10 years before they got tired, 15,
Mhm.
some that never made it, that never made it out alive, but we do have these success stories, and that's why I created this platform for people like you and I to show society, and how you just said earlier how the stigma is put on us. So we
Mhm.
got probation, you know what I'm saying? This person
Oh yeah.
he ain't no good. We all still looked at the same once we got
Absolutely.
that blemish on us, you know what I mean? So I created this platform to show society that hold on, you don't know, but but we out here, and we out
Absolutely.
here staying out here, and we out here giving back to the community in a positive way. So with that, can you talk a little bit about how much time you did and what that system did to you and
Okay.
what you did to
Oh,
yourself for it.
got you. No, so after being arrested at work, I only did like three weeks in the county. I was able to get bonded out, and then going through the process of my court hearings, I received 6 years probation. My
Nice.
first time was 3 years. Then I got 6 years. So yeah, that was the time that I had to dedicate and go through the process. And the hard aches and pains of that, being under the system, being on paperwork, and trying to walk the fine line, even though I had decided or realized that it was enough, I still had to go through the process of making the transition and
Making
taking the right steps, so I wouldn't actually have to do the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cause and that's and see that was the blessing that came, and that's why I said I talk about levels all the time. You see, it had to take me the 25 years. I had probation twice. I could have stopped them because guess what? Even back then, I knew right from wrong. We all
Mhm.
know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so I had that challenge on my shoulder, that guard and that devil on my shoulder challenging me, and I lean towards the devil more because that was just it was just appealing, more appealing to me to be in the street with these so-called friends, you know what I mean, and doing whatever we were doing, like we were grown, acting like we were grown. But
Right.
so I applaud that, the fact that you actually, because a lot of people would take more than just getting that
Right. Yeah.
probation, going through that system, and then getting that probation, you know, um, to
Now I
to
ain't gonna lie to
realize
you.
that
I'm not built for the lockdown, man. I ain't built for the lockdown, man. So once
that's
I got
right.
the probation, just the rules and regulations and restrictions on that, I was like, man, nah, I can't do it. I
Yeah,
mean, it's so much more to live for, man. I'm thankful to have that light switch to come on. It's just so much more to live for. I didn't want that. Everybody else has, like you said, has to go through their own transitions before they wake up. And I'm thankful, what I'm saying, of my journey.
no question. And if you could talk about, like, just when you went through that transition within yourself, like what some of the things that you decided to do in life,
Okay.
giving back to your community and what you're doing for your community.
All right. So we'll start with the transition. So first, when I got arrested and I was in that position and in jail and got arrested from work and was trying to get back to work, but they didn't want to have nothing to do with me, asking myself the question, how did I get here? And it's not like, oh, how did I get in jail? Like, how did I get in this position? And that's why I identified I was poor decision maker. I was an extreme risk taker without thinking about the end goal,
Mhm.
and I didn't have a true vision for myself. Like my goal was the bag, the money. Like the money is not a true vision. That doesn't guide you anywhere. So once I realized that, then I was like, well, shoot, well, who am I? You know, who am I now? As far as analyze, that's why I really identified, that was a poor decision making and all that. So I was like, okay, what do I really want out of life? Well, I want to be successful. You know what I'm saying? I want to have a house. I want to have the nice cars, but I also want to give back to the community. I am a people person. What skills and attributes do I have now? It's like, okay, well, working, in a job didn't work out for me. I have a hobby of DJing. I can blow that up as a business. And now I'm like, okay, well, who do I have to become to attain those things? Well, you got to get better with decision making. You got to get better with business. You got to get better with communication. You got to get better with relationships. You got to control your anger. I had to do all these things. So once I did that and start to get a handle on life and seeing how my change, my transformation affected my loved ones and then extended just the people who I work with or came in contact with, I was like, man, I got something here, man. I got to pass this on because, like you said, there's a common thread in all of our story. And aside from, the people who just buy all the way into the streets or the people who may need, what I'm saying, some psychotherapy help, us in the middle, we messed up because out of lack, something we didn't have, whether it was, you thinking about survival skills like money, housing, just decision making, the things that I talked about. So I was like,
Yeah.
if I could share, what I did to somebody else and saved them 8 to 10 years, because it took me 8 to 10 years. This was 2014 when I caught the case. I'm just where
Right.
I'm at in 2024, finally getting a handle on life and being at peace.
That's
So if
right.
I can share the information with somebody and shave some years off your life so you can go from felon to phenomenal, that's what I'll do. So that's what I came up with, coaching community and program called Felon to Phenomenal, where I help individuals reenter in society after prison, probation, and parole, take inventory of their life so they can identify who they are, what they want, and a plan to achieve what they want in life.
So if you could give us a quick walkthrough
Uh-huh.
on a day-to-day operation with you going in and giving this information to this youth or whoever it is, how that looks.
Okay, so one of the things that inspired me on my journey, I saw a motivational video from Dr. Eric Thomas, the number one motivational speaker in the world. So I got hyped up behind that, start following him, taking in the positive, content and energy. You need to feed yourself, what I'm saying, the information that you want to come out. So I went from listening to him to being a part of his extreme execution life coaching program, to completing his ETA speakers program, to building a connection with people in his camp where I DJ for a couple of his conferences, and then
Nice.
getting access to what we call the flight assessment. So when it comes to identifying who you are, 80 to 90% of the people in the world think they know who they are, but they really don't, because we have a problem. They call it the inability to self-assess. You know what I'm saying? We have blinders on. We delusional. We want to be something that we really not. So I have access to a questionnaire that allows you to identify who you are, like how you show up in four major areas in your life: when it comes to problem solving, when it comes to relationships and expressing yourself, when it comes to the pace in which you choose to work or like to work, and how you respond to policies and procedures put in place by other people. Because that's where we kind of book at. We're very rebellious or creative in that sense, but have to understand that certain rules are necessary until you are able to express your creativity and show, how things can be expanded. So yeah,
Personal.
so we'll interact and you take that questionnaire. I'll walk you through there. You have to be honest with yourself, though. Answering the questions to give the best reflection of who you are, and then we can go like a GPS system. I can show you where you at. You can tell me where you want to go, and then I give you some steps, principles, and rules of how to move forward in that pace. And you just have to work the program, man.
Nice, nice. I like that. I like that. So, is there anything else you're doing that inside the community, or, in terms of growth and development, rehabilitation for youth, or than anything else that you could share with us?
Man, shoot, just trying to get visible. Just trying to get visible. But just I guess another accolade or notch or whatever. Just like those little, I call them, glimpse of progress on your journey. I got the opportunity to be on 60 Days In, which is a reality show where you go in, you spend 60 days in a county jail to help, bring awareness to the issues and things that's going on in the jail. But season 7 was particularly different because they specifically chose people who had been actually affected by the criminal justice system. It wasn't just random people, or it wasn't formerly correctional officers or police officers. It was people who have actually done time or had direct experience with the criminal justice system. So I was able to, show my growth and show my progress in that space, in that place.
Yeah, how was that experience for you though? Like, if
Well,
anything that
jail
you,
is jail, man. Jail is jail.
yeah, but that
No
that
problem.
has to, that goes. Well, let's goes into our next topic, man. This goes straight to the heart of our next topic, and we gotta get right to it now.
Okay, on the beat.
So this is our cell therapy topic on StreamYard at Success After Lockdown, and where we talk about the mental health issues of this, of just incarceration. But when I look at mental health, I look at it. I'm well rounded with it in terms of looking at it, from all around point of view. When we just spoke about you going and doing the 60 days in, you know um I never done that, right? However, I have went back to prison to see graduations and plays that they do in New York State. I'm a alumni of the program called RTA, Rehabilitation Through the Arts, and we do plays in the prisons, and a lot of the families and and executives in the Department of Corrections, they come and they see us put on these live plays. And I'm also a graduate of Mercy College as well as New York Theological Seminary, where I received my master's. And we have full graduations in the visiting room, and so we reform the visiting room, like, and it looks just like a university hall. You wouldn't know the difference. Like, it's amazing what we able to do. And we had a lot of people that come to our graduations. I had Whoopi Goldberg. She was at our graduations. Ice T and Coco. Warren Buffett, he actually attended. His sister Doris, God bless her soul, before she passed away, she used to come to our graduations every year, amongst the other celebrities as well. And and there they was just in awe at what we can do. The reason why I mentioned that the mental health part is, it for me going back, it was like surreal. So for me actually, going back in there and going through the gates that my family and loved ones went through now, and going through that same process, that took a hold on me, on my heart in a certain way, in my mind, you know. So that's why I asked how much the mental health played. If you could talk about how much the mental health played, that you think, if any, on you and going through the system, receiving probation, as well as going back and doing that 60 days in, if you can reflect on that.
Well, I'm thankful to have a, strong mental presence and a strong mental fortitude, because I definitely understand how it can, play on your mind, play on your psyche, to make it even that more challenging. But once I made that decision in 2014 to make that transition in my life, that was a muscle that I developed. And so
Mm,
when the opportunity came for the show, I'm built for this. Like I'm ready for this. I'm ready to
nice.
show improve. Like, this was a platform for me to show improve all the work that I did and have done and continue to do. I wanted to be that example. I wanted to be a breath of fresh air. So for those of you who haven't watched it, 60 Days In, season 7, episode 9, which I consider to be my highlight, I came out and did my thing. Like, I presented myself as who I am and who I've developed myself to be. I'm DJ TNT, what I'm saying, in the city of Houston, one of the hottest comedy and poetry DJs in the city. And they wanted me to bring myself to this platform as far as the 60 Days In, and I did that. I saw talent and I wanted to change the atmosphere, because as a DJ, you change the atmosphere, you control the vibe. So we had an open mic night. It was a good time. We had comedy, we
Nice.
had poetry. It was a party, and after that, we bust down the spread. You know what I'm saying? We did our
Yeah,
thing.
no
So mental,
question.
I'm thankful I didn't have a lot of struggles with that. But to be honest, to this day, I watch my mom, struggle with mental health. As far as I know, part of that has to do with the drugs and then the traumatic experiences that she experienced coming up that led her to the drugs. So I'm not oblivious to how strong mental health can be. I encourage anybody who needs that help, whether talking to somebody, because I've definitely have a therapist. I've definitely talked it out because I want to make sure I don't need the medication. So I definitely talk to somebody and I'm like, hey, you think I need something? They're like, nah, you good. Just,
That's
keep
right.
pushing. I'm not afraid, you know what I'm saying, to handle it how it needs to be handled. But I'm thankful that, I am of sound mind and sound body. And, when I made that decision, I made that decision. There wasn't no looking back.
Nice. That's right, no question. And I think I take the same approach that you take, where I've developed this strong muscle within my my psyche and my mind, going through that journey that I went through, as well as going through this next journey of mine. This is another journey. Before I left, they didn't have cell phones. They, the internet was like corporate America thing. If anything, it wasn't even a whole internet like it is now. Like, so, I think I developed that strong muscle too. And I like the way that you explained it. You know what I mean? That best describes me. At the same time, for me, I was like, yeah, I think that anybody that just go through the experience of the prison system, and you can have a 1 year, because I did 1 year before. I did 1 to 3, and although I went back to the streets, I still had a lot of trauma, going on within myself that I didn't recognize, that I didn't, adhere to, and take heed of. And so, like, I'm just that, of that belief that we still, like a lot of people that come from the prison system and transition back into society, or have that form of PTSD. Just going through that whole system is degrading. It's
Hmm.
you know, it takes a lot, you know, from you mentally, physically, and spiritually, a lot. So for one to be able to come out, and like you said, is definitely, because at any given time a person will lose that sanity if they're not strong enough, if they don't have that, that muscle that you talk about, that you definitely have to I guess create it, or let it grow within you and understand it. Because if you don't, it could take life can take you somewhere else. As far as mental health, have you seen, when you do go into to help these youth in the facility that you do go in, how much of the mental health problem is there in these areas?
Man, you definitely see some mental health issues. Unfortunately, the criminal justice system is not lined up to where it can isolate everybody's issues. Everybody struggles with something different. You have those who struggle with drugs. Those who do struggle with mental health, and those who just struggle with self. And we all, in my mind, deserve their own separate place. If somebody who struggles with mental health or somebody who struggles with drugs does not deserve to be incarcerated. They need the actual resources to help them manage those issues. Now, those of us who struggle with self, and haven't learned how to get out of survival mode, then that's your penalty box. Until you figure out and take ownership of the decision that you made that put us in this degrading situation. Yeah, it's messed up, but at the same time, if we knew better, we would do better, and we wouldn't be in those situations. So, no, definitely in any situation, you're going to run into that. But that's not my expertise. My focus is on the area of the ones who know that you made a mistake and you want to figure out a new way out, a new how, because you are totally fed up and this is not it. Because, like I said, you got those who are committed to the streets, and then you got those who need that mental and psychological help. And I pray that they get the help that they need. But those of you who just made a mistake and just won't get off the hamster wheel, or you just don't know how because you've never done anything different, yeah, that's who I help with fell into phenomenon.
No question. When you said that about those that have made a mistake, right? Um, and I don't say this lightly. It just came to my mind because there's a brother of mine that I grew up with, and he did 30 years, and he's been home for about 2 years now, and he works in for a non-for-profit organization called Exodus, and he's doing a lot of things. He goes into the court system and advocates for people, for the youth that's about to get time. The judge is about to give them time, and so he advocates to have them come to the program, through the program, and we be able to get them help. We have an alternative for incarceration. And he always say, right, when because he's a part of Success After Lockdown too, and he always say, like, we didn't make a mistake, right? We don't make mistake, we make bad decisions, right? um I don't know if it's levels to that. Now when you say that, okay, I know that I made the choice. Let's just say if I was able to come out of this and just with that probation, you know now do I minimize my choice as a mistake because I made these? You see where I'm going? I'm trying to say that, I made these, and then I grew up. I started to take that self introspection and didn't go that route. I wasn't that case. However, there are some people that are that case. That's yourself, where you know what I'm saying, where you didn't have to make that serious bad decision, that you would have to live with for the rest of your life. That's something I would live with for the rest of my life. I took a young man's life, just like myself. He was 20, just like me at the time. We both were 20, and he had a child as well, and I have to live with that, me making that decision. That was the worst decision, I could possibly have made in my entire life. I don't make that my my last, my I don't define that as who I am today. My horrific decision that I made in my past. But I just was speaking about this to because I remember a friend of mine saying, the decision,
Now I got
that,
you.
that the
I like
mistake.
that
What you
perspective.
think about that?
I like that perspective. No, but that goes back to when I said how I reflected and analyzed myself in self, retrospection, as far as that I was a poor decision maker. I label that as a mistake. I never really thought about it, but I appreciate that. So I'll start emphasizing the decision. That's more probably free world talk. You know what I'm saying? As far as
Yeah,
mistake,
yeah.
that's
No,
how
but
they.
that wasn't for me to give to you in terms of making any,
No,
adjustments, but I
that's
could
what
see
it's
that.
about. That's
That's
what
right.
it's about. It's about willing to make adjustments. I'm not sitting up here saying I know everything. That's what the change and the transformation about, being open and willing to make that adjustment. Because on the grand scheme of things, if I'm talking to a youth or talking to somebody else, yeah, I don't want them to have the scapegoat as a made a mistake. Nah, you struggle with decision making. So I would clean that up for the
Mm.
fact of to let you
Nice. See
know
you.
that
See
you
you
struggle
got
with.
me on your side now, because I
Hey,
I had a little. I was straddling with a friend of mine. I was like, you can't say everybody just made the bad choice. Some people made a mistake, and I was trying to, you know, justify this probation only, and that's that. But that's still a choice, and you're right too when you think about it. So
the
I
mistake
appreciate that.
was I didn't think about myself in that moment.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't think
Nice.
about my future self, but I made a
Absolutely.
decision that affected the now. You know what I'm saying? Like I came up with a statement through my whole process was the decisions you make today affect your tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So many times we just focus on the present, and then, once I got that concept of begin with the end in mind, thinking about the bigger picture, that's where my better judgment started to come in. Because before then, I was just about now, like first time I crop probation, I'm on the scammer stuff. I just wanted a PlayStation, some stuff to hustle at the same time, and just some entertainment. Like I'm trying to satisfy a need that wasn't even necessary. I had food, I had a roof over my head. I just didn't have all the gadgets and the cool shit. I'm sorry.
That's
The
okay.
cool
That's all good.
growing up. I wanted to kind of feed myself in that way just because of the struggles that I experienced.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. I was just I was just sending my partner, what's the name of email for you. Yes,
Cool.
he might roll in before we roll out. But
Beautiful.
do you like? Is there anything that you have upcoming that you would like to share with our followers and family? What do you have, in the future going on? Do you have anything going on that
I mean,
you want
well,
to share?
I am a DJ by trade, so I am out and about. I'm actually in Fort Lauderdale, Florida right now. I have a show. I
Wow,
have the blessing to travel with a comedian who in turns entertain teachers. So most of the audience are
nice.
educated. I set the vibe. We turn up. We do our thing. But even in the city in Houston, I do a lot of comedy shows, poetry shows, outside of private events, and it's just an overall good time. Right now on my YouTube, Fell into Phenomenal TV, I'm walking myself through what I call 100 days of Fell into Phenomenal journey. I have three particular
Mm,
areas that I'm focusing on. One is my health, not just physical and exercise, but making sure I get my doctor's appointments in. Second one is finishing my book, Fell into Phenomenal, and the third one is on my money. Making sure I put that money away, save, and get out of what I call survival mode and get into thriving mode to live a more comfortable life. So I think Fell into Phenomenal is a journey that we experience through our whole lives because there are always going to be times and interactions where that background comes up, and it's like, who is going to show up? Are the felon going to show up, or the phenomenal going to show up? So
facts.
that's I challenge people. So even though I've been doing this for 10 years for my own particular journey, I still commit to the journey to level up each and every time in my life. So that's what I got going on right now. So I mean, I guess I have more when the book drop. I'm technically on date. Today is day 33 out of 100. So yeah, you check out the YouTube. I'll be dropping my little nuggets about the experience and just keep it. It's more of a commitment and consistency for myself. But if anybody want to join, you're more than welcome.
And the book is From Felon to Phenomenal.
Yep. How to
You got
overcome the biggest obstacle of reentry. You, my friend.
okay, no
You.
question. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Oh man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because, and we definitely got to stay in touch, Ted, because you
See,
know,
I'll be out that way. I mean,
no
I don't have
question.
any more New York dates this year, but I mean, I got some Jersey dates. I think I got Rahway, New Jersey. Yeah, I got some other stuff. Yeah, I'll be out that way, man.
Okay, okay, that's what I like. That's what I like to hear. We definitely gonna stay in touch with you because when we come out there to Houston, and we will be out there,
Please
we
do.
we definitely plan on doing it big, man.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely, man. Yeah, I'll pull on
letting
my
the light on.
resources to make it as big as it can be.
Yeah, no question, no doubt. And I appreciate this time. Appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate and it's an honor to meet you. I love
Man,
when I
Sam,
meet people in states. I don't know nobody in Houston. My cousin is in Texas, but I don't even know where she at. I'm gonna call her when I get
yeah,
off
you gotta
here
find out what
and
city,
see
man.
where she at again. You
Yeah,
heard?
find
But
out what city.
she the only person I know out of Texas. But
But
um,
not no more. Not no
she
more.
that's right. That's right. You know what I mean? And so we definitely gonna stay in touch. And I appreciate this time and looking forward to us, coming back and just sharing what you're doing, what else you're doing, on your endeavors, on your journey. And definitely
Absolutely,
when you get that book finished, we'd definitely like to big up that book over here on Success After Lockdown
man. That'll
with
be
no
beautiful.
problem.
I love to, man. Hey, you want to sit down? You want to do the assessment with me? I can run you through there, show you how that go too.
Okay, okay. No question. Yeah, we're gonna stay in touch. We definitely gonna stay in touch. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Appreciate everything, and looking forward to the future holds.
Absolutely. Once again,
And
thank you guys.
again,
Thank you guys for
thank
reaching
you
out.
for
Thank
coming
you
on
guys
our
for the
show.
opportunity. Yeah, this is beautiful, man. Success after lockup. Let's get it.
No question, no question. And from felons to phenomenal. That's what we
Absolutely.
talking about.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
question. You
Absolutely.
take care, man, and be safe. And until we see each other, or speak again. Peace and blessings. This is Success After Lockdown. Your boy EB without the Anthony Cologne. Mr. Anthony Cologne, that is. But yo, and I'm gonna call you soon so you could we could talk again, man, with the brother, with my partner. He definitely wanted to meet you.
Yeah, man. I was looking forward. I was looking forward for the whole crew. But I mean, get well soon, my man.
No question, no question. You take care, right? And with that, we out.